Hello everybody, we're going to talk about the impact of pollution. Aim of this lesson is to describe the impact of air, land and water pollution on the environment and health. So, let's start. What's going on in these photos? That's right, pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. Air and ocean currents can carry pollution. Many things that are useful to people produce pollution. Cars spew pollutants from their exhaust pipes. Burning coal or gas to create electricity pollutes the air. Industries and homes generate garbage and sewage that can pollute the land and water. All living things, from tiny microbes to blue whales, plants, and humans. We all depend on the Earth's supply of air and water. When these resources are polluted, all forms of life are threatened. The air and the ocean can carry pollution from one country to another. So pollution really is a global problem that we all must solve together. So let's look at some of the effects pollution can have. Let's start with air pollution. Polluted air can be dangerous even if the pollutants are invisible. Soot on buildings can cause damage. The health of trees, lakes, crops, and animals may also be affected if there is air pollution. Look at these plants. They were affected by sulfur dioxide, fluoride, ammonia, ozone, and cement, all forms of pollution that were in the air and damage these plants. Air pollution can also cause breathing problems in humans and animals. There have been a number of studies in Malta about traffic and the likelihood of asthma. They compared people living close to main roads and further away. People living closer to main roads were much more likely to have asthma than people living far away from a main road. Air pollution can have all sorts of effects: headaches, coughing, anxiety, and in the long term, even heart disease, chronic asthma, and it can even increase the risk of lung cancer. Air pollution can also affect pregnant mothers and their babies and cause people to have a shorter life. Air pollution doesn't always take a long time to affect people. Sometimes it kills quickly. In 1984, an accident at the pesticides plant in Bhopal, India, released a deadly gas into the air. At least 8,000 people died within days. Over the years, 25,000 people were killed or injured because of this gas leak. The gas continues to poison the area and the population till this day. Global warming is caused by greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, which is released with the burning of fossil fuels, or methane from landfills. These gases trap heat and warm up the air, leading to global warming. Let's move on to water pollution. Plants and animals living in the water can sometimes be harmed from fertilizers. Fertilizers are used to help the plant grow. DDT was a type of pesticide that was used all over the world. Farmers used it because it killed mosquitoes that carried malaria. But in 1962, an American biologist discovered some dangers of DDT. She said that it could contribute to cancer in humans, and she explained how it was destroying birds' eggs, and it caused a number of birds, like the bald eagle, to drop in number. In 1972, the United States banned the use of DDT. Many other countries have also banned it. It didn't disappear entirely. Today, many governments still support the use of DDT because it's quite an effective pesticide. Air pollutants mix with moisture, they change into acids. They then fall back to earth as acid rain. Wind often carries acid rain far from the pollution source. Pollutants produced by factories and power plants in Spain can fall as acid rain in Norway. Acid rain can kill the trees in a forest and also devastate lakes, streams, and other waterways. When lakes become acidic, fish can't survive. Acid rain also wears away buildings and other kinds of stone, like the statue. Sometimes people can get sick if they eat fish that live in polluted water. Sewage that has not been properly treated is another source of pollution. Many cities around the world have poor sewage systems and treatment plants. Many times, sewage goes straight into the river. Pollution makes the river dangerous to use for drinking or hygiene. It also reduces the amount of fish, meaning there is less food for the locals. Every year, many people around the world die from cholera, typhoid, polio, or diarrhea. These are all diseases that one can get from drinking dirty water. It is estimated that around 164 million people in Africa, 134 million people in Asia, and 25 million people in Latin America are at risk of infection from these diseases. This also puts a lot of pressure on the healthcare services of the country. Oil spills are another source of water pollution. They cause devastating harm to the environment. An example was the Deepwater Horizon spill. This happened in 2010, where an oil rig exploded, although this was 10 years ago. The ocean currents spread the oil to quite a large area. As you can see in the map, over 4 states were affected by this oil. Birds were covered in oil, couldn't fly. If they ate any fish, they would become sick. Coral, deep underwater, was also covered in oil that had sunk to the bottom of the sea. Many common bottlenose dolphins living in the area ended up dying because every time they came up to breathe, the blowholes were covered in oil. It is estimated that around 800,000 birds died because of the oil spill. Turtles, otters, and other marine animals also died. Vegetation along the coast of nearby areas was also damaged. As you can see, many people were involved in the cleanup. However, 50,000 of these people who were exposed to chemicals that were used to clean up the sea reported severe damage in their lungs. They also reported increased depression. And not only the oil, but even the chemicals used to disperse the oil were found in most of the pelican eggs that lived 1,000 miles away. This is oil that was found on a coastline. However, this wasn't the oil that came from the Deepwater Horizon explosion. This oil was found recently. However, it was found in Alaska. The oil spill that caused this happened in 1989. Oil can still be found all along the coastline. Almost 30 years later, oil remains in the environment and has effects for a very, very long time. Let's speak about effects of land pollution now. Sometimes soil may become infertile if too many chemicals are put into it. It's also sometimes unsafe to eat foods that can come from contaminated areas. Sometimes landfills are not completely sealed off from the land around them. Pollutants from the landfill leak into the earth, and the plants that grow in the earth may be contaminated. This is the Love Canal area in Niagara Falls, New York. In the 1970s, people living in this town suffered from very high rates of cancer and birth defects. It was eventually discovered that a chemical waste dump had poisoned the area's water. Around 800 families living in this area had to completely abandon their homes. This was all because this area was used as a chemical waste dump, and the chemicals were still leaking from the area into the soil and air, making everybody sick. Land pollution also sometimes destroys habitats. Deforestation, the cutting down of trees, destroys habitats of many birds, mammals, insects, and plants. Mining also destroys the landscape and habitats, first by digging out the area and then maybe polluting it while the mine is working. Finally, another effect of pollution can be a decrease in tourism. Look at this beautiful beach in Hawaii. It's called Camelo Beach. Would you like to go here? It is littered with plastic bags and bottles that have been carried in by the tide. Tourism is Hawaii's largest industry. Polluted beaches like this discourage tourists from visiting the place. That means that the tourists won't spend their money on the hotels, restaurants, and other activities found in the area. They might even not come back next time. Final check. A landfill can cause air, land, and water pollution. What effects can it have? Pause the video and allow yourself 2 minutes to work them out. When you're done, press play and check your answers. So, landfill can cause air pollution because it releases greenhouse gases. These can cause global warming. A landfill can also cause land pollution. The chemicals can leach into the soil and make it infertile or toxic. If plants are around the area, they could also become contaminated. And if people eat those plants or animals, they will also become contaminated and might get sick. And finally, landfills can cause water pollution because the chemicals can enter the groundwater. This eventually will endanger plants and animals and can contaminate food which we can eat. Okay, remember, geography is everywhere.